Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Beautiful back behind me, isn't it? But that's not about what's back behind me, okay? It's what's in front of me. And what's in front of me is that CT125. Now, I'm just like this close to having 500 kilometers on this machine. And I want to do an evaluation on it after 500,000 kilometers, but I need to do it just like, 10 kilometers shy. So it's a great little machine. I gotta admit, it is probably the best 125cc adventure machine on the market today. I'm not saying this because I just really like this bike, but I put this thing through hell. I've taken it on short paved road riding. I've taken it on some really gnarly single track dirt riding. I've taken it on some dirt roads that were really kind of fun, and I've taken it on an extremely long single day adventure ride on mostly pavement, but had lots of Mother Nature's washing of sand and dirt across the highway, which made you sit back and think about what you were doing. But on this last ride, the 220 kilometer supposedly all pavement ride, I did find some things that gave me concerns about this bike. First off, I'd sit back and say, one of the things I complained about at 250,000 kilometers or 250 kilometers was the fact that the tires were not really on par for hard off-road single track trail riding. If you got into stuff that was loose and wet and what have you, you really had no traction. However, this last ride was 220 kilometers, and the majority of it, I would say 215 kilometers of it, was pavement riding. And these IRC GP5 dual purpose tires that are on this machine work flawlessly. They allowed me to stay up with a Honda 250M motard. It allowed me to stay up fairly close to a Honda 250L dual sport, and yeah, there was a BMW 1600cc that walked away from me. But traction wise, I stayed up with these machines with the tires that are on here. So if you want a dual sport machine with the majority of your riding going to be on pavement, these tires are an excellent choice. Me personally, I want something that gives me a little bit better off-road ability, so I'm going to be searching for something that gives me the kind of tractability that I had on the pavement. On these few trips I've gone on pavement only, and something that gives me a little bit better traction on the loose loamy stuff that I was in on the single track trip. But I can tell you this really is a hell of a machine. Now, this last 220 kilometer trip brought one more thing out to the notice that I'm sure there's lots of riders out there that are going to question this on what kind of power does it have? Can it stay with something like a 250 Honda? Well, I can tell you what, they've got acceleration on you like no tomorrow. You cannot stay with them acceleration wise. However, if you're just doing flat land and slight incline terrain, as long as you keep the power band up on the R's a little bit, you can run fairly well with the bikes that were in this ride that we did. But when you get into a situation to where the incline is extremely steep, and when a 250 CRF Honda 250 L or M has to downshift into a lower gear to get the R's up and then catch second gear, I could not catch second gear and maintain. The bike would just not power up through it. So what I'm saying is you gotta have more power with this. I'm not so sure that the dual speed transmission lever that was in the old 90s and 110s would have done any better, because the highway speed part of it, I was still having to kick her down to first gear multiple times, and there was one incline that I almost had to do the entire thing in first gear, and those guys were doing second and third gears and walking away from me. So that's the only time that I really felt like I was really underpowered. But I have a solution for that. There's a company here in Thailand that makes a 142cc big bore kit. What it consists of basically is a cylinder, a piston, rings, and an injector, a base gasket, and a head gasket. And I think I can get the whole price of that is somewhere right around 3,000 baht, which is less than $100 US. I can get the labor done for probably less than 1,000 baht, which is $30 at the most. So I'm going to go ahead and have that done, but at the same time, to get the full gains out of that, you need to replace this exhaust system. And instead of going with the stock system, I've looked at quite a few different ones, and I've decided that the Diablo system that's out there right now, which is something that you can get here in Thailand, and I can get it for a couple $100 US, might be the system that gives me a head pipe and a rear cone on it, that it's got a fairly mellow sound to it. It's not really harsh bark like a Yoshimura or something like that. So it's got a mellow tone to it. So with the bigger head pipe and a cone, a megaphone type slip on the back part of it, with the big bore kit on it, I should be able to free this thing up. And what it's gonna give me is 1.5 more horsepower and 1.9 more Newton meters of torque. Now that's a big increase on something that's only 8 horsepower big, and to go up to 9.5 horsepower is something that's going to make this machine set up and maybe go up these inclines a whole lot better. What I want to do is I want to put this big bore kit on it with the pipe, and then go back and redo the exact same trail or roads that we did up on the mountains, and see how I go up that extremely steep section constantly in first gear. Could not go to second and maintain. I'd go second and have to go right back down to first. And pretty much the entire trip up that part of the mountain was in first gear. With the big bore kit and the pipe, I'm thinking I should be able to carry it in second gear. So we're going to find out. But that's the next step. And folks, I'm just like the rest of you, okay? I'm retired. I live off of my pension, and I'm sorry, but I have a small allotted amount of money that I can pour into this machine to do modifications, and I'm going to have to wait another 2 weeks before I get my pension check and do this upgrade. But that's my next upgrade, is going to be a big bore kit and a different pipe. And if it doesn't work, believe me, I'm not getting rid of anything that I've got on here stock. I can go ahead and put the stock stuff back on, and I can easily sell what I just purchased here in Thailand. So folks, that's the evaluation on 500 kilometers. The only difference from what I had on the 250 is the fact that maybe we're just a little bit underpowered, and we're going to try and fix that situation. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, and hey, we'll talk at y'all later. Right, Tamo? That baby girl? I don't know what the hell I was thinking. You sit back and do an ending on a video when you lock the goddamn gate. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But Tamo's out there. I can't let her out, but I can bring my bike out. Nice thing about that automatic clutch is you can leave that sucker setting in gear yeah, when you get off the machine. So folks, hope you enjoyed the video. I've got more work to do.